It is it's your boy Sam back here with another video. And in this video today, guys, we're going to be going over and ranking each and every one of our shooting guards in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM that are not hidden behind gambling. So right now, I want to show you guys, if you look at the top shooting guards in the game, I mean, a lot of them are hidden behind gambling. So like, if you have any of these Galaxy Opals, I'm just going to say it like this, I would run them. Okay, I would run them. If you have any of the Galaxy Opals, just play them. It's not rocket science, guys. And so a lot of people that get mad, Ty, why don't you rank the Galaxy Opals? Look, if you have Jaylen Brown, if you have Ray Allen, if you have John, or if you have Gerald Wallace runners, just run them. Like, just run them. Most of them that are in packs are really solid overall cards that I personally would run if I had them. So that's where I'm at. I just get so tired of people just getting mad at me for not including them on the tier list when I'm like, look, I mean, right now I've got 1.9 million MTs sitting on my account that it's like I don't use for these gambling on packs, so I'm just going to continue to rank cards like this. Starting with the Pink Diamond Klay Thompson, who I actually do love. Obviously, the Opal Klay is better. If you want to run Opal Klay, again, he is a really solid card. I think Klay, when it comes to non-gambling shooting guards, is a card I got to put at A tier. Defensively, he's still going to defend at a decent level. I don't necessarily love him, but he's going to defend at a decent level. Offensively, I think he's got the Bron dribble style. His release is fine. The thing about me when I'm thinking about Klay is this. Like, I feel like if you're running Klay, you're running him for a 3-and-D type player. One nice thing about him is he does have a glitch driving dunk. So, I mean, he can dunk the ball pretty decent as well, which obviously does help his value just that little bit. To me, Klay is a really solid overall card that if you still got, let's say you're still running Klay Thompson, you've got a good Pink Diamond shooting guard to start your squad off with. And honestly, A tier is the right spot for him. Korver, I mean, here's the tough part. If you're talking about unlimited, I take Klay over Korver every day of the week. If you're talking about offline modes like triple threat offline, domination, clutch time offline, I'll take Korver over about nearly anyone in the game. So for offline grinders, guys, Korver is S tier. The way I've done my tier list has always been like online mode. So like, let's say triple threat online. Let's say MyTEAM Unlimited, I'm taking Klay over Kyle Korver. Now, why? He's just going to defend that little bit better. Now, I know Korver's release is better, and I know, you know, maybe he's at the same A tier. But for me, maybe he'll get moved up. I'm going B tier for Kyle Korver right now. Galaxy Opal Allen Houston up next. Look, I'm about to get Allen Houston, and I'll give you guys gameplay when he comes out. He's S tier, though. I mean, he absolutely is S tier. I think his release isn't as good as people maybe want, and I get it, right? Obviously, you always want your guys to have really solid releases and to be good, especially if you're grinding out, you know, 50 triple threat online wins is nothing to joke about. Do I think Allen Houston's perfect? No. Do I think he's better than, let's say, even like a Pink Diamond Kobe? Probably not. But I do still think the card is deserving of S tier on this tier list. Anthony Edwards, you stink, maybe D tier. And I'm sorry, like, you are better than some of the people on this tier list, and that's why you're not quite F tier. But you stink. You're 6'4". Your release in 2K is not good. I don't know how I'm supposed to hype you up. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't get it. To me, you are the definition of mid. D tier for Ant-Man in my team. Asar Thompson up next. Does he just split the difference? I think I got to go B tier with Asar. Because look, if you give him the duo, it makes him quite a bit better. And even without the duo, defensively, he is still really solid, is Asar Thompson. So that's kind of where I'm at with things. I do think, you know, B tier obviously is the right spot, is the spot I would lean into for Asar. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, especially on the offensive end of the court, but gonna dunk the ball well, play decent defense. I do think B tier is overall the right spot. Brent Barry, I mean, here's the deal. I'm gonna be honest with you guys for a second. A lot of these newer Pink Diamonds, I haven't used. So like Tubby Walker, Chauncey Billups, I've not used. I mean, even if you go back to this set, like Jason Williams, I've not used. Go back to this set, like David Thompson, I've not used because the cards are not good. They're not worth the MT they're going for. And so, I mean, what am I supposed to sit up here and say about Brent Barry? He's decently lengthy. He's going to defend decent. He's taller than Ant-Man. But do I think the card overall is great? No. I think he's a card you can use and have some success with, sure. But when it comes down to it, C tier for Brent Barry is the right spot. Caron Butler, he's mid to C tier. I still think they're probably better than Ant, but maybe not. I don't know. Chris Mullin didn't get an updated release. This card's not very good. I don't know, man. I'm honestly going to move all these cards to D tier. I don't think any of these cards I like enough to put them at C tier. And honestly, I know I'm gassing how bad Ant is. I think Ant might be better than these cards. I know he's more undersized, but I think offensively at least, he is better than those guys. Cliff Hagan, D tier. This card stinks. Cliff Hagan is not good. His release is decent, but he's only 6'4". He's got basic dribble style. And again, when you compare that to Anthony Edwards, Ant can give you more than Cliff Hagan. Is Ant's release better? Probably not. But again, he does give you more as far as an overall card. Clyde, you are for sure better than those guys. Probably C tier for Clyde, I think is the right spot to go. Not perfect, but a guy that can obviously knock down shots, attack the rim decent, play decent defense. Clyde, I do think, is deserving of a C tier in my team. Next up, guys, we do see a pink, a diamond, Danny Green. Now, for Danny Green, I think this card is actually really solid. Great 3-and-D option. Not perfect, though, right? I mean, his SIGs aren't that great. Release still on normal time. He's only 6'6". And so that's the thing for me. Like, when I'm looking at Danny Green, I'm looking at a really solid shooting guard in my team. But is he a guy like a Franz Wagner? No, he's not quite to that level. I do think B tier is the right spot. David Thompson, I don't know, D tier. I know I'm throwing a lot of players at D tier. DeMar DeRozan, F tier. The problem with DeMar DeRozan is this, and I'm just going to be completely honest. He was 180,000 MT when the card came out. He was not worth that, okay? Meanwhile, you had to grind stuff in the Pyramid of Power. It was just not good. One thing I do not miss in 2K was the Pyramid of Power. I didn't necessarily hate that concept. I didn't love it. But DeRozan was just the worst ending to what actually... Look, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Like, D-Wade was fine, Bosh was fine. But then when they dropped this DeRozan and made the grind for him, I was absolutely stunned. Desmond Bane up next. I'm going to go C tier. I like Desmond Bane more than all of my guys at D tier. No questions asked. And honestly, guys, you could maybe even go B tier with Desmond Bane. My whole thing with it is he's just undersized. I think his release... It's super easy to green. Is it a little slow? Probably. But Desmond Bane, I think, is a C tier in my opinion. Drazen, you stink, F tier. And again, I'm sorry, Drazen, but nobody wants to grind a bunch of games to get a card with a release like you got. And that's no slight at you, because there's a lot of cards that don't have great releases, but yours is one of the worst. Franz Wagner up next, S tier. And I have no hesitation with this. I have hesitations with some people putting them at specific tiers. With Franz Wagner, I have absolutely no hesitations. I mean, this card is a guy that can get the job done. Is 6'10", D-book dribble style, decent enough release. I am a Franz Wagner stand in my team, and if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but it's the way it does have to be. Gordon Hayward up next. I mean, C tier. I don't think Hayward is unusable. I don't think he's horrible. I don't think he's a card that I look at that's like, man, you got to get rid of him if you're running him. But he's not great at the same time. Like, I still think Asar Thompson overall side by side is better than him. Grady D up next, C tier. I do not think Grady is bad in my team at all. A rush card, obviously, that you can get for free. 6'6". I think, obviously, plays decent enough defense, offensively can hold it down. Going C tier. Card's not perfect, though. J Rich, another card at C tier. Card you can run, that has decent success. He was fine in the Pat to R-Star grind. I was just hoping he would be a little bit better. My whole thing with it is this. I mean, Willis Reed was so good, all for us to get a follow-up in Jason Richardson, who just wasn't as good as Willis Reed. That's what kind of rubbed me a little bit of the wrong way. Jaylen Brown, obviously the Opal Jaylen Brown is going to be better. This Jaylen Brown, I'm going to put a B tier. I think his release is just what holds him back a little bit. His release is just that little bit slow. Whereas if maybe he had a little quicker release, and I'm not even saying like the best release in the game, but just a little bit of a quicker release, people would be more fond of the Jaylen Brown idea. I just think the release is just too slow for a lot of people, including myself. Like, even in play now, holds it back a ton is the Jaylen Brown base. Jerry Sloan, you want me to hype up Jerry Sloan? It's not going to happen. C tier. I know a lot of people might run Jerry Sloan. Oh, Ty, he's collector level. Man, he's actually good. Pay attention to it. Some cards, or some guys want me to include like the Grant Hills in the world in this tier list. Like, if I'm not going to include the gambling cards, I'm not going to include the, top collectors. Because guess what? I'm going to be honest. If you're not gambling on the cards, you're not getting those collector cards anyway. So, I mean, they're kind of hidden behind gambling right now as well. So, just kind of have to throw that out there for you guys. Jerry Sloan's not. I'm pretty sure you can get it without gambling. But a lot of those newer cards in the collector are hidden behind gambling. Jerry Stackhouse, I think he's better than Jerry Sloan for sure. I actually don't hate Jerry Stackhouse. I'm going to put him at B tier. And I know you guys are like, really? Like, ew, right? But he's not that bad. Can knock down shots, plays good defense, attacking the rim. Jerry Stackhouse is fine. Is he maybe a little undersized and doesn't have the best release? Yes, those things are valid. Your opinion is valid there. But Jerry Stackhouse is really solid in my team. Jimmy Buckets, I'm going to go B tier. And even Clay at A tier, I don't know about, man. Like, is Clay really better than these guys at B tier? I don't know. I'm going to put him at B tier. And we're going to leave A tier empty right now because none of those guys really, in my opinion, are a tier ahead of anybody else. That's just me right now. When I'm looking at it, I'm like, these guys all, to me, look at the same tier, be a tier. Josh Hart, if you got him, fine. He's 6'4", though, on your court. Now, badge-wise, he's probably fantastic, and he is. But, I mean, he's Josh Hart. You want me to sit here and gas up Josh Hart? I'm sorry. It's just probably not going to be the case. It's just probably not going to happen for Pink Diamond Josh Hart. Dr. J, S tier. And so here's the tough part. Eventually, I got to have somebody at A tier. But Dr. J is not A tier. When you're talking about non-gambling shooting guards, Dr. J is still a shooting guard that can go out there and compete at the very highest level. Smooth release, good movement, 6'7", good defense. Dr. J can do it all in my team. Diamond Kawhi, is this going to be our first A tier card? It is. Diamond Kawhi in A tier. I think when I did my top 100 overall cards, I personally, and this is just me being honest with you guys, I was probably higher on Clay than I should have been. Again, that's just me being completely honest and open with you guys. Like, I probably ranked Clay too high, but that's okay. Kawhi, A tier, plays great defense, obviously has a solid release. Pink Diamond Kawhi, S tier. I mean, there is a slight difference in the Kawhi. It's not a ton. 6'5" basically the same. Pink Diamond Kawhi is just a slightly better version of the Diamond Kawhi. Both Kawhis can go out there and compete at a very high level. While we're here, I'm going to throw Ron Artest at A tier. Same tier as Kawhi Leonard. Again, I know on my top 100, I was way too high on Clay. I get it. I understand that. At this stage, though, I do like Kawhi and Ron Artest over Pink Diamond Klay Thompson. Cash Money Chris Middleton. S tier, but low S. I'm going to be honest. When I first used Chris Middleton, I really liked the card. I really did. I had success with the card. Didn't necessarily green a bunch with that Trey leaner, but I was like, the potential of it's definitely there. As I've gotten to use Chris Middleton, and I still think he's for sure S tier, I've just gotten less and less high on the card. I mean, yes, he's going to knock down shots, but I feel like his movement's not great. The inability to dunk the ball at an elite level definitely hurts. Defensively, he's solid, but he's not to the level of like a Kawhi. I just think he's the lower end of S tier. Pink Diamond Kobe, S tier. I mean, we're going to have some cards at S tier. Kobe, still at the upper end of S tier. No questions asked. To me, with Kobe, it all starts and ends with that release. That release, only on Quick, is still so good. The difference between the Pink Diamond Kobe and the Galaxy Opal Kobe is hardly anything. Lou Hudson, never used the card. I'm going to go C tier, but again, I really do not know for Lou Hudson. Manu Ginobili, A tier. I think for Manu, it's this. When I've used Manu, he's fine. He's a guy you can go out there and have some success with. He just doesn't do anything game-breaking good, and I'm taking everybody at S over Manu Ginobili. Initially, I was like, him and Chris Middleton are probably the same, but I still think even with Chris Middleton, he does more for you on the court than Manu. Now, you guys can let me know if you were running Manu and having a ton of success with him, but from what I've seen with Manu Ginobili so far, he just doesn't fit what I'm wanting at that shooting guard position. Matt Harping, never ran the card. I don't know. And that's just, again, me being completely honest with you guys. If I've never ran a card in my team, how am I supposed to sit there and rank a guy like Matt Harping? I don't know. I mean, his SIGs look very mid. His stats look okay. I just don't know. I mean, I'm guessing C tier though. I mean, again, if you like Matt Harping a ton, run it. Don't let my uninformed opinion change what you guys are doing as far as him. Max Strus is not very good, D tier. I give him D tier because he was a free locker code and he wasn't a long grind like DeRozan and Drazen, who are absolutely horrible. Michael Cooper is fantastic. He is A tier. And I saw somebody yesterday, DBG, comparing like Michael Cooper to the new Galaxy Opal Ron Artest. Like, he's getting a little carried away with himself. Michael Cooper is really good, really solid, 6'7", decent release, can knock down shots, play defense at a really high level. But comparing him to the Galaxy Opal Ron Artest is crazy. Michael Finley, not great, C tier. He's not the worst, but he's just not great. MJ, I still like MJ to this day. Upper end of B tier. Now, you know what? MJ is still A tier. Again, I know on my top 100 list, I might have moved MJ into a different spot, but I do not care. I still like Pink Diamond MJ in my team. Yes, his release definitely leaves a little bit to be desired. I get that, and I'm 100% willing to admit that. But as far as an overall card, MJ is really solid in my team. Micro Red F tier, again, I'm not going to hype up a card that I had to grind a ton for that is literally useless because his release is so bad. I'm not going to hype him up. I'm sorry. If you want Michael Red to be up there on your tier list, do what you got to do. He is F tier for me. Mikal Bridges up next. Release is kind of broken, but he does play some defense. I'll go B tier. I don't think the card's as bad as a lot of people are making him out to be, but he's not great. That's for sure. I'd take Danny Green over him every day of the week. Paul George, might surprise some people, S tier. I know some people are like top. Paul George, give it up, man. He's not what he once was. Man, Paul George is still absolutely elite. Great release, great defense. I'll take him over Kawhi Leonard still to this day. Paul Pierce, I mean, Kyrie dribble style, 6'7", I guess C tier. It's crazy. Like, I don't like Paul Pierce, but he's not as bad as some of these guys at D tier. I'm going to throw him at C tier and just live with it. Again, I know some people might be like, Ant. Okay, here you go. Ant can go at C tier, I guess. Peyton Watson, better than all those guys. Peyton Watson at B tier. If you don't know about Peyton Watson, you should learn eventually. Like, the card is absolutely fantastic for his price. Can go out there and compete at the highest level. 6'7" frame sometimes feels longer than that. And again, I'm not trying to sit here and gas Peyton Watson. It's just the fact. Sometimes he feels longer than 6'7". Good release on quick. Just so good. Scottie Pippen, S tier. I mean, again, I have no hesitation putting Scottie Pippen at S tier still to this day. One of the better 3-and-D guys with one of the easier releases to green in the entire game. And I think that's what a lot of people need on the court, are guys that just have easy releases. Scottie Pippen's a guy that has that. Sean Elliott, really don't know, never used the card. Looks decent though. I'll go B tier because the card does look decent. T-Mac, Tracy McGrady. I like T-Mac, man. I'm on the verge of putting him at A tier. He's B tier, and I'm not going to put him at A tier, but I'm on the verge. No, I like T-Mac a lot. I'm on the verge of putting him at A tier. Vince, lower end of B tier. I don't love Vince, but I still do think he's B tier. Wesley Person, D tier. The card sucks. Zach LaVine, the low end of B tier. Again, I do not like Zach LaVine. But when it comes down to it, offensively, he's good enough. I got to put him at B tier. When I'm looking at, C tier, maybe Clyde could get moved up, but the rest of the cards I just do not think are the level of Zach LaVine or just have that same type of potential. That's going to wrap it up for my tier list today, guys. If you don't agree with it, let me know down below in the comments, but I think I did a pretty good job balancing it. We do have a lot of cards at S tier, but again, I don't really want to separate them in general. Kobe, obviously, the best shooting guard in the game. Outside of that, really don't want to rank them for you guys, but obviously, it's just tough. Chris Middleton probably would be a little lower. Paul George a little higher. Something along the lines of like this is how I'd probably rank them, somewhere like this. Maybe Scotty a little higher. I don't know exactly. But that's going to wrap it up for our tier list. Drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.